Welcome to the People Dividend Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Horne, and today I'm going to dive into a topic that's often of great interest to so many people in human resources, leadership development, executive development, organization development, and that is, how do I measure the return on investment of people-centric leadership? And I don't know, in some ways, I'm always hesitant to tackle this question because, in many ways, I think the right answer is an emotive response from an executive or a CEO who is at the helm of an organization. In one organization where I led executive development, that's often how the president asked for feedback about our executive development programs, works, activities. His evaluation was based on what he heard. I mean, he's not concerned that our evaluation, speaker favorability went from 95 to 98%. Also, he was interested in what he heard in all ways. So, in part, this episode is really for you if you're interested in this concept of measurement, people, particularly as it applies to the broader concept of people centricity and the people dividend. I'm going to share some resources available on my website, mike-horne.com, to help you take action as well. So, just go visit there, mike-horne.com, and you'll find some of the resources that I'll refer to in today's episode, which is a solo episode. And as we approach the end of the year, many leaders are reflecting on their impact and they're planning. I used to do, and I still do with my clients. Let's look back. Let's look forward. Let's look back at 2025. Let's look back forward to 2026. So it's the perfect time to evaluate this. This time of year really gives us the time to evaluate our leadership and see how it's driving results, not just for the bottom line, but for people. And if you take care of your people, you will and take care of customers, you can take care of the bottom line that way. So let's start with the big picture of why people-centric leadership matters. Leadership is not just a feel-good concept. If you've listened to the People Dividend podcast, if you read my blogs, you know that this is not a feel-good concept. It's a driver for business success. Research shows that companies with engaged employees outperform their competitors. And having led many of these campaigns and organizations, I can tell you that's the absolute truth. And yet, many leaders still struggle to measure their impacts on people. How do I do that? How do I assess that? The truth is, something we've all known for a long time is what gets measured gets managed. If you're not tracking the right metrics, you're missing the opportunities to improve your performance and your team's performance and ultimately your organization's results. So let's talk about some of the key metrics to track. What should you be measuring? What are the metrics that matter the most for people-centric leadership? So first, employee engagement. I've led all kinds of engagement surveys in all kinds of organizations, from completely custom design to following a big model like a Gallup Q12, to great places to work and so many engagement models. Engagement is the foundation of a thriving workplace, and unfortunately, engagement is continuing to decline. You have to have some way to measure engagement, I think, other than just a sixth sense, as we talked about, as I described before. Retention rates. Turnover is costly financially, culturally. So you want to look into your retention rates and see whether your leadership is creating an environment where people want to stay and would recommend their employer as a great place to work. You want to look at team-paced performance metrics. Are people meeting or exceeding their goals? Productivity is often a reflection of how supported and empowered teams feel. You can even have an employee net promoter score, which is, would you recommend your organization as a great place to work? It's a powerful indicator of overall satisfaction. I was doing some great work at one point in time measuring employee sat with customer sat in an NPS equation. Really amazing sort of conclusions that we could reach and drive change at a behavioral level. And also thinking about our DEIB metrics. Whether your leadership, those numbers show that you're fostering an inclusive culture. I think it's important. Metrics are just the starting point, though. But the real value comes in using this data to drive meaningful conversations and actions. It's not just about the insight, it's about the action. Insight creates self-awareness. That awareness can create the energy for change in decision making. So there are lots of ways to demonstrate ROI. But to prove the return on investment of people-centric leadership, you need to connect these metrics to business outcomes. For example, let me give you three things. Higher engagement often leads to increased customer satisfaction and revenue growth. Higher engagement often leads to increased customer, of course, happy employees, happy customers, more money. 2, lower turnover reduces hiring costs and training costs and directly impacts the bottom line. Absolutely true. So got higher engagement, better customer sat, lower turnover, affecting the bottom line. 3, inclusive teams are more innovative. You don't have to believe me, Google it. You'll find just the overwhelming evidence that inclusive teams are more innovative, which innovation's the really only key to long-term organizational success. So if you're not sure where to start, I've got resources at mike-horne.com to help you measure and improve your leadership impact. Check out my blog, the free tools, the coaching programs designed to help you lead with purpose and results. And these are also important in the work that you're doing, that all of us are doing, and so many ways to begin to think about this, whether, we've talked about it in terms of some of these key metrics, engagement, productivity, performance, the employee net promoter scores, how to demonstrate these through reduced turnover. And, go to look at the resources that I have available. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. People-centric leadership isn't just the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. By tracking the metrics that matter, you can create a workplace where people thrive. And that's where the real dividends are found. I want to thank you for tuning into this solo episode, quick treatment of metrics and people-centric leadership. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the People Dividend Podcast. Please share it with a colleague, leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Next time, I encourage you to tune in where you'll hear an interesting conversation, and we start off the new year about making a purpose and making a difference. Once again, thanks for tuning in to the People Dividend Podcast. Till the next episode, I'm your host, Mike Horne. Stay well.